But in a broad sense, especially in the West, we talk about the end of Christendom. So there was a time which you could call Christendom, which would have been a time in which the whole of the society and the culture was deeply influenced and shaped by Christian values, by the teaching of the gospel. And everybody, even those who didn't really practice their faith much, had as their mental furniture, as their interior mindset, the ideas, the categories of success and failure, the moral norms, the aspirations that arose out of the teaching and the vision or the worldview of the gospel. Over the last 300 years, and especially over the last 30 years or so, there's been a big shift in which you use the word distance. It's true that the society, the culture has been distancing itself from that. And that hasn't been an accident. That's very deliberate. And I think that the ruling or the governing vision of the culture has moved away from a Christian vision to a post-Christian vision. So we find ourselves in a new age, in a different time. And what's important for us in these circumstances is to be clear about that and not make, I think, the most catastrophic mistake, the most serious error that the church can make in our own time is to continue to operate in the same way that we used to operate when we were living in a Christian society, when the church had influence of a particular kind, and to continue just to operate in that way without taking stock of the fact that the ground has shifted underneath us and that we need to come up with new strategies. Now, and I'll say this and then I'll finish, but I think that it's important for us to understand that we have been in a time like this before, and that's in the earliest centuries in the church. So when we think about the first Christians who were making their way against a powerful cultural vision, the Greco-Roman vision of the ancient world, they knew that they needed to operate, or they needed to move and preach the gospel and witness to the gospel in a very particular kind of way. And so I think we find ourselves, Brother Adrian, in a new apostolic age. And I've seen that in my work here at the University of Mary. We've had to think carefully about the way that we deploy resources, the decisions that we make regarding policy, the way that we think about just about every aspect of the ministry of Catholic higher education is affected by the fact that we find ourselves in a new apostolic age, which is very troubling, but also super exciting, because it means that the Holy Spirit is on the move in a new way in our own time. And this is a great opportunity, a moment for very heroic witness.